last major, but as soon as over to my boys Bryce and Ton, fellas, it's good to see you again. Take it away.
Thank you very much. And it's going to be a great game. Texas versus Minnesota. An awful lot to kind of break down for this one, Ton. There is so much to talk about. Texas looking a little bit flat coming out yesterday. Minnesota coming off the back of a disappointing major after a great qualifier for them. Can they do it again? They need the points.
They do need the points, but honestly, I think it's probably a good time to play OpTic if you look at it one way, but then another, a bunch of people will probably say it's a really bad time to play up against them. A tough loss against Boston yesterday. We got a first-hand view of that one. Do they bounce back with a bit of a vengeance here? Has the fire been lit for them to finally just kind of wake up? Because I think a lot of the OpTic fans online may be getting a little bit frustrated with how things have been going. This is legitimately a very, very difficult game. I would have said, you know, if they would either lose against Boston or Minnesota, you would probably put your money on it being against Minnesota. But then there's also part of me, we were just having a small discussion there, that the way that the series could possibly go, if OpTic 3-0'd this, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. I don't think anybody would be like, whoa, that's wild, because we've got two Bakajas and then we have a Tuscan. But I know you're going to say yesterday, but
look, here's what I'm looking at.
Good maps for them.
Here's what I'm looking at, and you know what I'm going to say, because I've brought it up a million times when talking about teams. Benchmarking. It is time to figure out the benchmarkings of these teams. Minnesota 5-0 last time we saw them in qualifiers online. Went to the event, lost to Thieves, beat Boston, and then lost again and went out of the event. The number 1 seed going in did not make any higher than top 8. I need to find out what's going on Minnesota. I need to figure out if they can figure out a way back from the brink. They are one of our lowest teams right now in the CDL standings, and they are fighting for their very spot to move forward. Texas is an unknown quantity. Yes, they come out slow yesterday. Boston did beat them. Boston had a team change. We're still trying to figure out how good it makes Boston in the long run, but also where do OpTic sit currently in our power rankings? It has not looked pretty for them. I know they've been looking for a sub, but this is the game. This is a game where I need to figure out, is OpTic currently struggling with themselves, or are Minnesota just that good? And it only can be answered. It only can be told once we find out what goes on.
Well, let's see. We're going to get a first-time view of it once again. Can OpTic turn it around after what was a very, very poor showing yesterday? And honestly, you know, after they went 120 points behind Brycey, they were pretty good on the Bakaja point. But obviously, when you start 120 points behind, it makes it quite difficult to win. They outscored the Boston side straight after they managed to start shooting back. They cannot afford to be that slow up against this Minnesota side. They need to be switched on. We need to see what we see in their map number 1 up against Minnesota, up against Boston yesterday from the OpTic side. But it's going to be tough. It's a strange series. It's always that kind of layout between these two teams. It could be a 3-0 one way. It could go to a map 5 round 11. It could anything could happen, Brycey. I am going to clue.
This is very true at the moment. Havok just setting up, waiting. Scump throws a shoulder against him. Dashy's going to try and go for the bait and switch. Not going to work. Havok for the reposition. For these players, do they know he's here? At the moment, they do not. They're wondering where he's gone. And Havok has just played that one pretty nicely.
Yep, keeping an eye on those spawns, heading over towards P2 in around 20 or so seconds. Kills starting to flow the way of OpTic Texas now. 3-0 from Prolute. Caught a little bit of flack yesterday, and it's always going to be the case though when you're in instead of aBeZy, but I think he's doing a solid job for the squad. But at this moment in time, you know, there's a lot of questions asked over this OpTic squad. You're gonna have to answer some of those questions as well. Not a good showing yesterday. A win here though would be a nice bounce back against a tough Minnesota side. Can't quite find the kill there, can Scump. This rotation over towards P2 is going to belong to the Minnesota Røkkr. Can OpTic find a break through the front?
Well, Prolute just trying to do everything he can to stay alive in this P2. Do not allow Minnesota to get that even a little back spawn. You can see OpTic, though, sliding through Barn here, trying to get those kills going down, but the kill feed is betraying them, even while they are gaining points. And this is already a bit of a weird game here. Both teams trading back and forth. Standy's got nothing on the board. OpTic are leading. And it looks like it might be Minnesota to eventually grab this scrap time.
Yeah, not too bad from OpTic, considering that the rotation was there for Minnesota. Prevent a complete wipe of points going the way of the Røkkr's side. Well, that final 20 or 25 is going to go their way. OpTic gonna have to look at this rotation, and they've overcommitted once again here though. Look at this rotation over towards P3. Yes, they will get those final seconds of scrap, but these fights over towards P3 now, it does seem as if the transition from Shotzzy and Scump was good. And in the end, it is going to be Minnesota with the more beneficial spawns, but OpTic are the ones inside the point.
OpTic still leading, still have this rotation. Scump just trying to play his life here a little bit as his teammates have disappeared away from him, and attach stays alive. Scump's very, very weak. He's not going to be able to get any further out onto that one. And Minnesota take the lead back from OpTic. Shotzzy, though, going to be in here again. Again, it's a mixy one here on Bakaj, and we kind of expect that from OpTic. They do love to run this time down. Shotzzy trying to do everything on the 4th streak, but Prolute takes him down with a grenade. And I think mixy's the right word, Ton.
Yeah, it's actually, they took all 4 members of OpTic out there, but then again, it just answered back immediately. Texas are here, ready and waiting. Shotzzy. That 4th spree isn't going to continue, though, just to keep an eye on that, because the team kill comes through. It does not reset the streak on the scoreboard. So bear in mind, that is not going to be a 7th spree if he does manage to find his way there. But Minnesota just about holding on. It was their rotational win. If anything, you know, they had a hold of the spawns. They don't really benefit too much for it. It's kind of an even split as we head over towards the barn, though. OpTic are the first ones here. Can they manage to get some time? The SMGs are just about there. It's a pretty even game, though, Brycey. Hard to tell any sort of difference between the two so far. It feels like Minnesota are maybe getting those flurry of kills a little bit more often as we see one once more. But OpTic are right there with them. It's only a 10-point game.
Oh, it's Attach who's really having fun this map indeed. And I've got to be honest with you, Attach on Minnesota has probably been one of the biggest Minnesota stories of the timeline, because he's always doing well. He's always the player we keep an eye on. But this being Bakaj means regardless, this game is close.
Standy finds his way in. Scump will find 2. Can't quite find the 3rd. That might open things up here for OpTic to finally get a few decent amount of points here on P4. A final 10 seconds of scrap time. Well, we'll go over towards them if they get inside the point, but heading over towards boat, that's where the contention is going to be. Minnesota will have plenty of time to set themselves up here.
It's a 1-point difference. Exactly. It's always the same thing with OpTic on Bakaj. It doesn't matter about the slaying. It doesn't matter about anything. It's just going to be a tight game until we get into the second set of rotations. It does look like OpTic are doing a pretty good job of trying to get these back spawns coming through. You can see Prolute. He's also going to have backup in the form of Dashy. But nobody on the hill at the moment. Prolute looking for the L hit, and it's going to be Attach again that plays spoiler for it. Scump gets another one towards the back. Minnesota getting time. Shotzzy gets the kill, but Attach is still here as well. And bearing in mind how far we've come into this game, how little points have been scored.
And the rotations for OpTic yesterday across both of the hard points, they only won 7 of the 22 rotations versus Boston. We need to see a little bit more than that for the side of OpTic, because it doesn't feel like those rotations have been in their favor whatsoever. But they have managed to keep themselves close. Yeah, Priestahh will find 2. They shut down that potential scrap time for OpTic, who are now going to start setting themselves up for P1, but obviously in lieu of P2 coming shortly after it. I'm going to keep a hold of that barnside spawn.
Well, we can see Prolute going to try and make a little bit of a difference here. Can he find the kill onto Røkkr? He does. And this is where OpTic will try and flip the spawns for P1. Of course, nobody touching it, because why would you get any time on a game like Hardpoint? But eventually, Minnesota going for a little bit of a soak. And this is where positioning comes to play. Priestahh has tried to hit that back 10. The spawn's coming for Minnesota as well. OpTic get a bit of time on P1, but they will lose the P2 spawns.
Rotations again. We highlighted at the top of the show here before this game kicked off. When they did actually rotate and win those rotations up against Boston yesterday, they outscored them by over 200 points over 2 different hard points. The rotations are so important for this team. They are not going to have it locked in here for P2. They haven't really had it locked in whatsoever. They are still closer. If they can start winning some of these rotations, they should be able to pull away, and they may well start winning this rotation here, but the spawn comes in for Havok towards the back, so does the rest of the team. Minnesota are going to be able to lock this one in. OpTic not quite at the races here yet.
Well, you can already see OpTic had a chance to maybe get a few kills coming through, but Attach manages to find 2, and now OpTic have been pushed out. This could be the difference for Minnesota. Can they push OpTic back? Can they get a little bit of breathing room in the scoreline? Let's find out how they are feeling, though, with a Minnesota Røkkr. Listen in.
Barn dead.
Outer tank, watch out.
I'm trying low.
Mid down.
Outer tank,
Fly tank,
outer weak. Nice. One got tank, I think. Actually, no, he's not.
Z to barn.
Z and
Here's the right. Z down. Deep breath.
I'm on the right.
Bottom.
Do you have all left?
Get all left. Where's up top? Shotzy's already up top.
Yeah. Yo, I'm in L left. You guys hold.
Top,
Play
top, I gotta get
slow.
out.
I'm hitting to left.
Top, guys, top.
One's
Stun.
right
Stun.
here.
Stun.
Yo, play slow. I'm hitting to left, guys. I can make a play.
I got needed right. Dashy's right. They dominated me.
I spawned now.
Back to you.
Oh, they hit the back.
That's alright.
Alright, they're in the back.
Yo, I'm gonna hit a tunnel out.
You're gonna go to gate.
Alright. Yo, I'm reflanking tunnel. Okay.
I'm a stun for here.
The shots
Yeah,
is
I'm
back. Left
starting for a
tank.
hut.
He beat top grandmas.
Copy dead in the back.
I'm
Nice,
just
I'm
top.
hitting
I'm
him. Back dead.
getting game. I'm getting game.
Nice.
Mid.
Chill,
One
chill,
to be mid.
chill.
Yo, top. He fighting mid. Mid-street.
Mystery scum.
I'm almost top.
Mystery 2. Scum.
Listen,
Starting back right.
one's the right.
Slow down.
Tools dead.
Nice, that's Scum. Get to time.
Tools, going all day.
And one front door.
All day in front door. All day in front door.
Oh, he's dirt hog, guys.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get him in the
One's
window.
all day. Yeah, we need to start soaking a little bit of time here.
Dead.
Low right, hitting it.
Low right, dead.
Alright, last guy Dashy. Front dead. Okay.
Nice.
In the hut. Yep, get this time. Guarantee this. I'll go top, okay?
I'm naming my front door.
Yo, one gets back.
Running barn, guys.
They got me back cut. One's back cut. This is a really good time right here.
Yeah, I'm just on my
Dashy back barn.
Nice, keep it in.
Top barn, Prolute.
I'm in
Taking up this, taking up this.
Tool side.
There's lane one
Taking
going.
push. I'm stunned.
Her tools.
Where'd he go?
Nice, good shot.
Hold my front door.
That's we're gonna break here. One more tools. So
we-
going
okay.
all day. Break together. I think he's
All
all
day
day.
dead.
I'm going top grandma.
I'm going.
Well, Bacard is chaos, but let's find out how OpTic Texas are dealing in it with a listening of their own.
I can see now time.
Was that guy
He's
top
taking
house?
him my left. Yeah, he was top house. I have my left.
Yo,
I'm on the left.
He's top nerd.
Cover dead.
Nice one.
One more Frizzy. To left.
Yeah, front right.
Wait,
Front right. Another one front left. One front left. One
Oh,
front
straight
left.
touch. Straight touch. Dead. One more.
Front left. Yeah, top. He went top. He's top. Good job, you guys. Good job. One more time. Just stay down time, man.
I got
Take time right here.
Yo, I'm PT tank right now.
What's open? Right pinch?
Yo, one's right. Cool. He's already.
Where'd he go?
side
Where'd he
Yo,
wall,
nothing
side
getting
wall.
left. Nothing getting
I
left.
have back wall.
Top nerd. One more
Watch your front,
Z on me. One more Z on me.
I'm trying to spawn, Brandon. I'm trying to.
Yo, Z absolute nupsy. First guy.
Nice, two.
Last guy Z one bullet.
I'm trying to right. I'm on right. Yo, front left. Hit this
Front
time.
left
Hit this time.
weak, nice.
Good job. Yo, we're back in the team now. Just slow down right here.
Yo, one's
Everyone slow down.
mid-street.
Alright, slow down. We're good.
Mid-street,
We're
go.
good. We're back.
Mid-street, dead.
Okay, yo,
Yo, Z dead.
I have you mid-street. I'm trying mid-street. I'm doing.
You bracket. He's like
Yo, Lamar tank. Lamar tank.
Yo, give me a second. I'm in tunnel. Yo.
Dead.
Yo, one's in tunnel. Tunnel. I'm in tunnel.
Yo, what's spawned out? I think
Is he in the back? Is that guy in the back or where'd he go? Lamar.
I think we killed him.
Right.
He's kill him. Yeah, he's back
One's
Back house,
No, he's in the back. In the back.
He's
I know,
in
bro. One is
castle,
L.
in castle,
One is an L. One is an L.
Laying down a castle, Cole, bro.
One's an L.
Laying down castle.
Well, we've got through many hills and a lot of listenings, and the game is still within touching distance. Only 15 points split between these two teams, Tan, and at the moment, Minnesota are soaking on Røkkr.
Yeah, and as soon as OpTic start to get some sort of rotation, they start to get some points. Minnesota did a really good job over towards P3. OpTic answered back immediately and will kind of get a late rotation here over towards that P5 hill. The fight towards the back, I mean, it was Priestahh who was staying alive. There has been some criticism of him this year, and rightfully so, it has to be said, but he stayed alive towards the back, and that allowed Røkkr to get a bit more of a foothold, to not allow OpTic room to breathe. And there isn't much room to breathe between both of these two teams as we head into a third rotation. Keep an eye on that game clock. We're under a minute yet, and that could really tick in. It could really be influential throughout the rest of this game. A third rotation of Bacage we go.
Well, it's a 1 point difference as we hit the rotations again, Tan, and well, that time clock is kicking down. And because this is P1, the teams aren't really going to jump on it as much as possible. It's all tied up between these two.
Oh my god.
This is ridiculous. 35 seconds left on the game clock. Havok coming back into it. He's going to soak again for another target. No, 1 point difference. This is ridiculous.
Anytime's good time
today.
Anytime is good time when the game clock is that low. If you can even find a slender lead, it really could make the world of a difference. But let's see what Scump can do. Can he find something over towards the back? Oh my goodness.
Attack.
Oh, that looked like a guaranteed gunfight that he does not win. That game clock is down to under 30 seconds. The lead for Minnesota, more than that.
That's going to be paused here. OpTic going to try and take this last few seconds. No, they've jumped off. They probably could have done with a little bit of a soak there just to give them a few more seconds as they have to make this rotation. Attach finds another one on 6th Street. That'll be a 7 for Attach. Looking for his 8th. He can call in the glide bomb now. I don't know what's going to happen. You should never really leave the hill on hardpoint when you have the advantage like they do. They have the spawns. He can continue jumping in and out because at the moment they are still in the lead. But OpTic have to keep pushing. A contest is not good enough. You have to get there. OpTic have to move. Standy with a nade to take down a teammate as well. 7 seconds on the game clock, Ton.
They kind of want to get out, but they want to just contest it as best as they can here as well. Minnesota are playing this perfectly. Here comes the glide bomb. OpTic will find a breakthrough. Dashy or Shotzzy need to survive. You need to get back inside the hill. 4 seconds remaining. Still doable for OpTic here. They could still take the lead when it comes down to this hill. Maybe just tie it up. It's going to be super, super close. We need to consider the rotation. We need to consider the game clock. But Minnesota find a way in. Havok and Attach are there. OpTic are back in. What's going on? Rotation's in as well. The game clock is over. And Minnesota somehow do it.
Oh, I can't take games like that. What have we just watched? Chaos reigns in the CDL. Minnesota Røkkr take map number 1. Hill shy for both teams. Bacage is different, man. It's just a different hard point. We even saw it early on. I knew it was going to come down to time. Big stories of that one probably has to be Attached. We saw him doing a ridiculous amount of work. The most damage in that game. Non-traded kills. The glide bomb as well. And they lead against OpTic Texas.
I honestly think the moment you seen Scump got behind them, and it was a gunfight that Attached, from the look of the minimap, shouldn't have won. Of course, the door's there. There's a lot involved when it comes to that fight. You guys at home will know yourself. Sometimes when you run through that door, can send players left, right. You don't know where they're going to end up. Not sure how that gunfight went down. If we could get a look at it, it would be fantastic. But I feel like that was so crucial. If Scump finds that kill towards the back, stays alive, lets the rest of the team come in, it's all hypothetical, but the fact that Attach found that, then found a glide bomb that then forced OpTic off the point at a certain stage, brought that game clock down again. Influential plays from Attach, massively influential plays, and we'll have to see that again, because honestly I feel like that's the moment that swung the game in Minnesota's favor completely.
Yeah, it did. I mean, we called it out, saw it on the minimap. We knew the rotation was going to be big. There's been a lack of holding the entire way through on Bacage, and it's a weird scenario. All right, let me explain this just a little bit. Obviously, one of the reasons you see players kind of jump around some of these points here, especially on this map, is it can be very difficult to hold anything if you don't have all the angles. Bacage is a very tight and intensive map. There are multiple entries to multiple hills. Flanking is prevalent. And it kind of forces these teams to play this. We don't want to commit to getting time, because in case then you know where we are, you'll take us down and then you'll get time. So they end up kind of dancing around it left, right, and center. And OpTic, obviously, OpTic are the kings of doing that. The problem is not soaking time on P1 may have cost them. Like, they could have done with that extra 5 seconds. No, there were 4 players from OpTic around Barn, Little Hut, and Top Grandmas, I think, and none of them were on the time. I know it's 7 seconds, right? But you needed every point of that to move into P2.
Yeah, and that 7 seconds, you give it on your time. You also then keep that game clock up a little bit more as well. These are the kind of situations, though, when you're in a Bacage, it's that close towards the end. The game clock's so low. It's just instinct. You're running on, like, just screaming call outs wherever they are. But honestly, I think there's moments like that. Let's give some credit to Minnesota, though, at the same time, that Attach went off towards the end. That for me is kind of that game winning moment, but he had a really good map as well. Fantastic stuff from him. We asked to see more of Priestahh. He had a relatively solid game, had a couple of crucial kills heading over towards P5. And Minnesota Røkkr will take the lead. And then we're heading into a Bacage search and destroy as well. It's a good map for both teams. Slight edge there for the side of Minnesota. And of course, their S&D has improved tenfold since Havok came in. So that is going to be a difficult one for OpTic, who just, it just feels like they're all at sea at the moment, Bryce.
Yeah, I want to talk about OpTic. I want to talk about Minnesota. The reason I want to talk about Minnesota is obviously, I said coming into this game, what is going on over there? Last time we saw them in the qualifiers, 5-0, looked fantastic, got to the event, disappointing to say the least. They now are in a position where they have to be better than good. They have to be great moving forward. And this team already, there's a big map one they have taken off of OpTic, and they'll be looking to get the points here. OpTic seem to be kind of giving equal points, maybe, to the teams down low there. But here are the keys of victory for Minnesota Røkkr for this one. They need Priestahh to bring a bit more slaying. He's the only player on Røkkr negative at Major number 3, and that didn't go well for them, Tom.
No, it didn't in the end, did it? That was disappointing considering how good of a qualifying section of that stage they did have. They looked phenomenal. And they came in and fell short. Very, very flat performances. But you have another opportunity here. Can you have another good online stage? Put yourself in another good position and close out the year strong. And bearing in mind, Brycey, where they are sitting in the standings, they kind of need to have another good qualification period at this point.
Yeah, they certainly do. And maybe the S&D in the qualifiers will be that catalyst. 5-1 last time around. Not great at the major either, though. But we're talking about the negatives of Minnesota, and we can't get over this story point. We cannot overemphasize this enough. Points matter, and they matter even more than they have done for the rest of the season. It is crunch time. There are no more excuses. You can't afford to have a bad week. You can't even really afford to have a bad map. Every team is going to be battling their hearts out for the chance to attend champs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of teams are now going to be looking at that because OpTic are going to have to reevaluate it as well. That's 2 in a row they've lost now. And that used to be one of those maps, Bryce, where I would look at it for OpTic and sort of say to yourself, right, okay, yeah, it's not a guarantee, but you're looking pretty good for it. So that's one that falls to the wayside. But yeah, on the Minnesota side of things, it is very much needed for them. But moving back to... Go on, I was going to move back to OpTic in a certain sense, but go ahead.
This is I think you're going to make a similar point to I am. Essentially, it's 2 different stories, right? Minnesota Røkkr need to find form. They have an uphill battle to come. OpTic technically have an uphill battle, but a very different one. Yeah. This is about rebuilding, reinvigorating this team, finding form for the last leg of this one. We know they've had a setback, and it is horrible for all the fans out there. But the truth is, adversity makes champions. And they have an opportunity to rise from the ashes of disappointment and potentially make an incredible storyline going forward. That's the positivity I'm taking from this. They may be knocked down, but they will get back up again. But they have to show it. And they have a little bit of time to make it happen. Minnesota on the other side, fighting for their lives. This is not a warm-up for them. This is not a rebuilding. This is a knife fight. They have to win, and they have to keep winning.
Good opportunity to do so here on aBeZy. Very much leading the way when it does come to these attack rounds, but OpTic's defense has been very, very solid. But 52% of your 3v4s on aBeZy S&D, that's quite something. OpTic Texas is very good at finding those first bloods, so that's probably going to come to fruition here. Priestahh with a 1.32 KD is going to be an issue, but so is this guy, Havok, on your screens, getting very aggressive on the defensive front. OpTic Texas about to get aggressive on the attack.
Oh, Shotzzy tries to make a bit of a push. Hasn't worked out. Havok sitting in the corner, and they are shooting him from every angle. He's going to try and escape, and he's done it. Scump's going to try and challenge him here, but already going to get taken down. Scump brings it back to a 3 versus 2. They're looking for him, and Scump's not able to get that second one down, and now it's Prolute alone.
There's a big stack from Minnesota over towards B, and Havok just played that so wonderfully. Staying alive in that position. He knows they know where he is. So that's drawing attention. They know he's weak. They kind of have to go for him. But Prolute has played this well. Minnesota managed to wrap around, and I want to say he's played it well. He's got a little bit fortunate with the timing, but can he hold the 1v2? Nope, no he cannot. Attach will win the gunfight, and that will be the round to Minnesota. Gets a little bit fortunate on the rotation. It goes his way, but the rotation outside of the site does not.
Yeah, a little bit of an anticlimax there, but at the moment it will be Minnesota Røkkr that lock in, and I don't know, Minnesota Røkkr, I'm looking forward to seeing them play well. The thing is, if I'm being honest, being a fan of Call of Duty esports, the fact that it's coming down to this and so many teams are doing well in the last part of the season, it makes it even more complicated for us as casters and talent in the desk to try and figure out who's actually making champs, because there is so little division between these teams. We actually had, if I'm being honest, most people had Texas taking points off of both the teams they've played in these last 2 days. I don't know, obviously, if OpTic Texas are going to make a comeback onto this game. It's very likely still an incredibly talented team, but it is an interesting turn of events as we come into one of the most close and climactic points of the year.
Briefly, just to back to your point, that they have, as the grenade comes through onto Shotzzy, they have so much talent, and they have the luxury of having the time to try things out, to try things on this roster. So if they are losing games, yes, okay, it might put them in a bad spot coming into the major, but they need to figure something out. They have the luxury of how many points they have to have that opportunity to figure things out.
The other thing is they probably still want to get into that winners bracket in major.
Yeah, that would
help. But don't ever count them out. OpTic Texas have done more with less. Probably going for the chow, and he doesn't get Priestahh. Havok, though, managed to get Dashy. That fleeting numerical advantage goes away as Scump goes for the chow as well and goes down. Prolute left alone again here against Minnesota. The benefit is time. Did you see that play with the FOV?
They shot at him as well. They shot at him as well. Prolute will now know this is going over towards B. Still has a grenade in his hand. That bomb will go down, as will Standy. 1v1.
Looking for this player, trying to figure it out. He didn't see that player either. Gonna go and check every single angle for this. Havok and Prolute, and he's going to be found as well, and he gets taken down. Not able to get the clutch. Great first gunfight, but just couldn't find the player in time. Røkkr take another round here into this one. And still, we keep moving forward. There's a lot of S&D to play, and I'm trying not to, I don't want to doom sell or anything, but obviously,
no,
I want to kind of highlight the fact that Minnesota have to dig their heels in.
They have. I think in these situations, though, it's come down to Prolute being left alone in 1v2s again, but they're not seemingly impossible, I want to say. OpTic are having opportunities here, but Minnesota are just about on the skin of their teeth. Winning these rounds. Touch is trying to get position, no, gets aggressive, finds the pick as well. Dashy might be the next in the chopping block, no. The old reverse Aru, and Touch is going to get taken down. 3 versus 3 now.
Very important trade there from Dashy. Very interesting. Minnesota have called a play. A play's coming through. Dashy's about to see them. I don't know if he saw all of them when he gets the gunfight. Huge win there from Dashy. Stops Minnesota in the tracks. They lose all position as well on the map. The idea of going as a 3 is for trades, and they got none of them.
Oh, I respect it. I knew what he was doing. I knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to jump on the bomb immediately there. Even if that player was there, if he hadn't have seen him, it was his only win condition. Shotzzy sees him though. I very much respect it. I very much respect it. That had to be the play, right?
Yeah. Essentially, like I said, the kind of the crazy thing is when you go for that, essentially the wolf pack tactic, when you hit something as a 3, it is on the understanding you should be able to get a trade. Dashy making that kill and getting out was huge, and it forced Minnesota into a terrible position where they didn't have map control and they could be locked down. Dashy again comes through for OpTic Texas, and the first blood is there. Standy, while he breaks into the old bomb site, will be nervous about making any further moves.
Dashy, one of the top performers this season. Is it going to be Scump who's going to find another opening here for OpTic? It just seems like they're in that flow state that we sometimes see them in. They seem to just be moving around the map fluidly. And Røkkr don't have an answer at this moment in time in round number 4. 2 versus 4 now for the side of Minnesota. Can Touch find a pick and make this a little bit more doable?
That's what he wants, but there is nobody to find. And it's now a 1 versus 4. No bomb for Attach. He was great in map 1, but in map 2, he's not going to get the 1 versus 4 as Texas tied up 2-2.
Good bounce back from the side of OpTic. Get themselves in a better spot. Shotzzy with the final kill coming on through. It's about that first pick again from Dashy. These first bloods have been very, very influential. Røkkr not able to answer back with some of these 3v4s that we have statistically seen come through a little bit more than everybody else. Can they find some here? If OpTic do find those first bloods, it's been very, very close. 4 spree for Dashy. Keep an eye on that. 3 more on the glide bombs there, but look at this aggressive push from Minnesota. OpTic are ready for it as well yet.
Never mind, Scump gets the first blood. It's only aggressive if you win it. If not, it looks a bit foolish. Havok gonna try and make a play here, but he is surrounded by the green wall. And they have actually chosen to back up here. Potential rotation call coming in.
Yeah, but Minnesota kind of gained something from that there. A lot of real estate over towards this A side. Havok very pushed up. OpTic do, of course, lose a player in that transition as well. It's a 3 versus 3 as Shotzzy will fall. And Havok is in a position to do a lot of things here. He can make the cutoff if any players do push through barn. He can make the flank if this bomb goes down to B, which is inevitably what is going to happen. Scump in a good position here as well to watch that mid-map. This is all over the place though, Pricey. This could go either way. Minnesota not in a bad spot.
Comes down to gunfights. Whoever wins these first gunfights gets the opportunity to squeeze. Havok managed to get down Prolute. However, big trade coming in from Scump. This is actually going to be on the bomb. He needs reinforcements coming through. He's trying to take him down. Attach and Dashy. They're going for this one. The bomb is being defused. He's going to try and find Scump towards the thing as well. Is he going to get it? Yes! It's been defused. Yes, it was! It was! Røkkr did just enough. OpTic were not there in time. They did not have the positioning. Minnesota put all their eggs in one basket in the hands of a defuse. And Attached did just enough, didn't win the gunfight, but he bled time. And OpTic are going to be sick about that one.
It's one of those bomb sites. As soon as you give it up, if you're on the attacking side, which you kind of have to, it's so open, there's not much cover to try and get yourself out. It is such a dangerous prospect that players can do that. We've seen it so many times, specifically at that site. Minnesota get the job done, find themselves in the lead. Still streaks ongoing for the side of Texas there, so a small silver lining. That's what was around. They should have won. 3-2 down now, but still, this is doable. There has been opportunities. It's just been clutch up players from Minnesota that's winning them these rounds. Can OpTic finally close a couple of these out?
Oh, huge 2 there from OpTic. This should pretty much be a settled round now. I don't think they're going to find anything else. But Shotzzy's going to go down. He just gets the worst timing ever, and Scump cannot get the trade. And Dashy will eventually answer the call once again with 2. This man is pulling OpTic out of the fire. He has a mighty strong back at the moment on this S&D. Tied up again between these 2 squads.
And I want to say that was minimum number 6. That might have been number 7 for Dashy there. Let's keep an eye if he does have a hold of that glide bomb, because that changes a lot. For a round at least. For the side of OpTic. Changes a lot for Minnesota. They're going to have to think about that as well. They will know exactly what's went on. But Dashy on the 7. Dashy with the glide bomb. It's all tied up, but the ace in the hole here for the side of OpTic Texas is that glide bomb.
Let's see where OpTic go with this. Does he use it for info? Does he use it maybe when they go back and on the defense? There are a million options for this glide bomb, and he won't really commit to it until they need it. There he goes. He's going to go for it now. It is for the information. He's called out A is open. He's looking for it as well. Goes in towards L. Finds nobody. But what it has done is opened up that A site.
That's okay. It works out for OpTic. Now for Minnesota, do you have the retake? For OpTic, that was eggs in all in that one basket. You got to win this round if you've invested that. Looking for the retake here. In through Granny. Shotzzy's going to have to do something. He gets taken down. Standy with the first blow, but look how spread out OpTic are. They're looking for the flank, but so is Havok. Scump with an important kill. 3 versus 3.
Imagine he can get away with it as well. Scump somehow playing his 15. Life and has got out. Havok got another one. Scump's going around the house. He's been found though. This time only 19 health. He's trying to desperately stay alive and he goes down. It's on Prolute. He just has to get 1 kill and he has Prolute with the clutch. Does just enough in a perfect position to gun Røkkr as they dive for the bomb site. And the clock and the clutch comes through. Chaos on Bacage.
Just perfectly well timed. They started the flank round. You've seen them through the mid-map. I think it was him and Havok actually pass like ships in the night as the rotation then comes through. Finds himself towards the back tank. And it's always going to be difficult for Minnesota with that little time left to defuse that bomb. And OpTic will get one back. The glide bomb was invested though. Very proactive from the side of OpTic to send that one in already. Prolute with 3. Can they do something here now on the defensive side? Can they extend this to a 2-round lead? It's such a close search and destroy, back and forth all the way. Minnesota yet to make any sort of decision on which way they want to go. Shotzzy making the decision for them. Havok will fall 3 versus 3 now as Prolute falls as well.
Nobody on this map likes having a numbers advantage for more than a few seconds, but speaking of somebody who does, it's Dashy with a dagger from long range. And this is Shotzzy waiting. Careful, he's going to slide catch on this corner and look for somebody. No, he takes Standy to the face. Attach is going to go down on the elbow. And Standy's going to have to challenge this one. And Dashy was pre-aiming it for a second, but Scump eventually comes in to pick it up. And OpTic Texas. It's been a bit of a weird round of S&D so far in this series, but they are now on map point.
They have been the better side. It's felt that way. They have found themselves in positions where they can win these rounds. Been a couple of good clutch-up situations from the side of Minnesota that's kept them in it somewhat. But it's felt like OpTic's map most of the way through. And it would be a super important one for them as well. I'll caveat on the rest of the series, maybe in a little bit longer, but I feel like this is crucial for OpTic. Absolutely crucial that they try and get this one closed out.
It's aggressive here from OpTic. Who's coming through the doors first? Standy's gonna take down Shotzzy again. It's gone down to a 3 versus 3. Chaos is reigning. Standy's finds one. Looking for Prolute. Prolute is not gonna get away perfectly clean. He's stunned. But Overwatch again. Get the bat signal up because Dashy has arrived one more time for OpTic with another trade. Down to a 2 versus 2. Can they find him? Dashy again and again. God. It's over for them. It's now a 1 versus 1. Priestahh versus Dashy. They need him one more time to lock this map through. And Priestahh's going to hit the tank. Does he see him? It might just be timing here for Dashy. Can he get away? Somehow, even with Priestahh knowing where he is, he just couldn't catch him.
Oh, he's seen him. He's seen him this time, though. And Priestahh will eventually close the round out for Minnesota. Had eyes on him for so long. But Dashy can be elusive. Eventually finds the kill and ends his reign of terror. Because Dashy has been lights out here on Bacage. But Minnesota bring a round back there. 5-4. Things getting a little bit scary for the side of OpTic. But that was so crucial for Minnesota now.
Well, how does this continue? We see Minnesota on the attack. They've set up for an A defense. They have not set up for B. Now you can eventually see Prolute trying to hold this one down here. Standy's managed to get up top. Rotation coming in from OpTic. Havok gets the first one to Dashy though. And that's not what you want if you're an OpTic fan. A man who's been so instrumental. But Shotzzy's going to, oh my goodness, Shotzzy's got caught on the flank.
That should be the round. That should be around 11 realistically. Unless Prolute and, well, just Scump can pull something out of this round. I don't think he's going to be able to. Scump should surely get caught from the left-hand side, or his right-hand side, I should say. That's going to be the round. That's going to be round 11. Minnesota comes screaming back into it. It felt like OpTic were just striding away. But a final round to decide. Map number 2 is coming up.
Everybody watching this one. So the buttocks are clenched because this is a tense game. OpTic looked like they could have had it completely under control. Minnesota went up to begin with. It all comes down to this. Around 11. 2-0 for Røkkr, or 1-1 as Texas bring it back, and they have the attack again.
OpTic.
Slightly goes towards OpTic.
It does slightly go towards them. OpTic winning 67% of the defensive rounds, and well, Havok's just going to fly through the middle of the map. Scump will trade it out, but that's a lot of map control now for Minnesota. They will go for the plant. It's going to have to be a retake for OpTic here. 3v3 situation retake. How is he alive?
Look at the amount of space they've given up here. Itachi's buried himself as far back in spawn as you can go. Priestahh gets that one as well. And OpTic need magic. They need Dashy. They need Prolute. They need a clutch as well. And now it's only Dashy. Dashy has 20 seconds to pull off a 1 versus 3. And he finds one. He looks for a second. It's no good. Røkkr have made a comeback. They have taken 2 Bacages. They are 2-0 up. And I don't know what to tell ya. That just happened.
5-3 up. It felt like they were cruising. And Minnesota send it down mid-map. Havok is through kitchen in about 15 seconds. Dashy at 12-6 will be what a lot of people will talk about, but the Minnesota Røkkr side clutching up so many times. Think back to the 1v1 with Priestahh and Dashy. Think back to that Ninja defuse. So many moments that OpTic will look back on and say, there's so many times we could have clutched up in this game.
Unreal play, by the way, to hit that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, because typically you head to around 11. It's such an important game. It's a more important game for Minnesota if you want to go in that direction. But the fact that they would then do that in a round 11 to go 2-0 up, take some stones, Brycey. It really does.
Well, here's the thing. It not only, obviously, he almost got 2 from it. Didn't. It got traded to 1-1. But this is the crucial thing it did. The crucial thing it is, it shook OpTic. Their setup was broken. Dashy moved away from the tank. He moved away from the bomb site. The plant went down. It's chaos. But Minnesota Røkkr are 2-0 up in this series. Map 3. What can await us? Don't go anywhere. We will see you right after this.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew and Zenny. Armor your eyes with Blocks gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Call of Duty League. You are joining us in a little bit of a spicy game here. Minnesota Røkkr against OpTic Texas. So far, Minnesota Røkkr are up 2-0, winning the last S&D 6-5. Much to the disappointment of OpTic fans because they were up 5-3, Ton.
Yeah, the fine margins not going their way, especially when you talk back to game number one. Few little plays, few little gunfights here and there. Brycey, they could have been 2-0 up here.
They really could have. They really could have. I suppose it comes down to a lot of things here. I know fans are disappointed in OpTic, but I said this coming in. I'm not too worried about OpTic's performance here. All they really want is to get into winner's bracket and figure out what they're doing with the setback they have suffered. For Minnesota Røkkr, they obviously don't have that luxury. They don't have the luxury of already being qualified for champs. They don't have the luxury of being able to lose any 10 points where they can grab them. And they will be looking now to bury this control, take the 10 points, and then focus on the next game because they need it more. But anything can happen in the CDL. We've seen reverse sweeps aplenty. We have seen all the way to round 5, map 11s. Let's find out. We jump into the control. It's Tuscan. We're on board. We're Dashy.
A 1.4 KD on Tuscan control, and well, if he was firing like he's been firing in that search and destroy, then well, I'd imagine he'll be alongside that. Yeah, heading into Tuscan. Just to discuss this map, of course, notoriously, it is a staple for OpTic. But side production read my mind. A 4-game win streak for the side of Røkkr. OpTic are 1-2 over their last 3 performances on this map specifically. What do you go on? Do you go on statistics over the whole of the season, or do you go on form, Bryce? I like to pick form on this one. Minnesota Røkkr could very well close this out in 3 here on Tuscan.
They certainly could. But I'll tell you something. I have always believed that OpTic, even in its many iterations, are the most momentum-based team in Call of Duty history. They catch fire, it's very difficult to put it out, and that's what they need right now.
I mean, all things said, I don't think I've seen Dashy lose a gunfight this series yet.
Oh, they need him to not.
Yeah, well, yeah, they really do. A's already captured. OpTic on their way over towards B. Slight life advantage for them, but I love that from Havok. He plays this role fantastically. He's up there with Envoy, Shotzzy, these guys who flank all the time and just being used to surviving in and around, sort of kind of past the line of where maps is, where P5 is. As long as you push the past there, causing a nuisance as best as you possibly can, it is very difficult for an attacking team to find a push through. A little bit of radio control here for OpTic, though, and this is what they do well. Radio control, aggression. Find their way through, they're on to B. Can Minnesota answer back?
Looking for as well, but those nades are starting to rain in here. But Dashy on Overwatch, 6-0 now, just when they need him the most. He is not missing. Eventually going to be stunned. That glide bomb will not come through for him. OpTic, though, do have the kill lead. Scump going to try and hit the back. He's on his own 4 streak at the same time. And here comes the next OpTic hit. They're waiting for Dashy to back them back up. Shotzzy's already taken down Standy. They're looking for positioning. And unfortunately, before Dashy can get there, they lose the gunfights.
Oh, a good gunfight win for Scump, who's on a 5 spree himself. Minnesota need to wake up very, very quickly here. The defense is not something you want to be throwing away on Tuscan. Still plausible that they close this one out. The 7 life disadvantage for them, though, is never going to help things. Attach will open up with one. Priestahh with another. That's a nice clean wipe, though, and that's going to make things that little bit more comfortable. Prolute will back off. No need to sacrifice your life here. Although he may not have a choice in that matter. Oh, he actually won that gunfight up against Havok. Priestahh will answer back, and that is going to be a little bit of control now for the side of Minnesota Røkkr.
Shotzzy, nade going over, and that does hit him, and he has to back up. Shotzzy can actually try and push the advantage as well, and he does. He cracks it open just a little bit. Huge play from Shotzzy. This may open the door from OpTic. You can see them swarming now, looking for this blast play. Røkkr do not have the lives available. Shotzzy and Dashy combining for this one. Havok going to try and stay alive. He finds 2 as well, but is that going to be enough? Only 3 players from Røkkr left alive, but 13 seconds. Can they win the gunfights? Priestahh finds 1. No, it's going to be attacked in the end. It's a gunfight towards the back. It's Prolute. He needs to jump on at some point. His teammates are not there.
You got to get on. You got to get on. Standy's on his own, but this is doable. 2 kills is what he needs. One of them staring at him. Scump will find one. Can he get the last one onto Shotzzy? No, he's got backup. OpTic will find the attacking round. But just about. Very well played. But Minnesota was so stubborn all the way through it. They were behind all the way, but just staying alive so well towards the end, but not quite well enough.
Well, it wasn't clean. It was not textbook, and it certainly wasn't pretty. But a win is still a win, and Texas get the attacking round. Dashy 10-3. Can they hold their defense here? I know, obviously, it doesn't matter as much going up 2-0 because of the way the rounds work, but it certainly feels a lot better to be up 2-0.
Potential is on the cards here for OpTic if they can lock this one in. Reverse sweep. Starts? Yeah, maybe. It's been a crazy game, and it's one, as we mentioned, that this could have been 2-0 OpTic Texas very, very easily. A couple of gunfights here and there, a couple of little decisions here and there. Very, very different series. Attack coming in here, though, from Minnesota. They're going to start getting progression over towards A. That's going to be locked in momentarily. It's all about the B hit once more. Shotzzy's going to be playing that awkward little role once more. Pushing through radio, getting behind it, broken. Just causing chaos in the back lines. Minnesota going to try and find a way through.
They just have to hold something that is definitely easier than getting that attacking round, especially considering the way they are shooting at the moment. Just keep trading away for 2 minutes. Shotzzy's going to win that gunfight against Standy as well. Prolute's going to get another one against Havok. It pushes Minnesota back further and further on this map. Shotzzy gets another one. And maybe, just maybe, this is where OpTic catch a little bit of form.
That's a problem. Prolute found his way behind. Oh my goodness me. 1, 2. There's the third there for Prolute as the rest of the team now come in from the other side. Very, very well played. He's played that phenomenally. Shotzzy might have just come off the respawn, so Prolute moves himself up. Just good rotational play in terms of positions from the side of OpTic. Defense still in their favor here, Bryce.
Havok just turned what was a horrific scenario into actually a pretty good one. Managed to actually outmaneuver Shotzzy for a second here, but they're looking for this player. As you see his legs, he does. Eventually, Havok will get that kill, but Dashy gets another kill at the same time, and Havok gets caught just a little bit, but stopping that clock for a second as they look for a few more kills. The flank coming through again here from Shotzzy. And Havok gets another kill on this team, but it is not locked in for either squad yet. The next few gunfights will be huge, and Standy takes down Shotzzy on the flank.
It's Dashy in the corner, but Prolute and Scump win the gunfights as well. Priestahh and Standy combining, though, and already Scump on that flank. A constant flank from the side of OpTic every single time. If somebody dies on it, somebody else is on their way. Havok will find Scump on the flank, though, so it's everybody through the front door momentarily for the side of OpTic, but Shotzzy finds a way around, but Prolute gets the job done from the rear. Minnesota just cannot clear out their flank. It's constant from OpTic.
Shotzzy will be down and respawning, and it doesn't really matter because he'll be back into this fight before Minnesota can get anything going, but this may be the last hurrah for Røkkr. They're waiting for it as well. Scump to see that player, and he's going to get taken down by Standy. Already gone through. Players now from Røkkr streaming onto the point. They're going for it on the platform as well. Prolute going to try and win it, but he loses to Attach. Priestahh is going to be on here at the same time. 9 versus 7, Attach going towards the back. It'll be a single stack at the moment, but Scump guns Attach, and Shotzzy takes down Priestahh. And they have found this one in the seconds they needed it, as Shotzzy wins another important gunfight. And while OpTic lose a stack there in the end, they do find this round ton.
Standy's inside the point. He is going to fall. Sorry, I didn't want to say... Bryce, this series has already been crazy. I didn't want to count it out until it was actually done.
I was gone. I was next rounded.
He got inside, but the rest of the team weren't too... Well, actually, they were quite far away. Never mind. But irrelevant to the point. A really good hold there from OpTic in the end. And again, it's that flank. It's so consistent. There's always somebody filling those shoes. Right, okay, if you're alive in and around mid-map church, somewhere like that, get around behind them. If it's late, if it's early, it does not matter. They're always going to be watching it. They may well win a gunfight, but it allows the other side to push up. And now OpTic Texas 2-0 to the good here in control. It's been such a question mark around their game recently, and this is something that's always been ever present as a good map and mode for them. And they're really answering the critics here today with a map 3 that they absolutely need. Minnesota Røkkr, to be honest with you, I mean, if we want to touch further on into the series as well a little bit, just momentarily, Brycey, Berlin is really not a good look for them as we head into map number 4. A 7-game losing streak on that hardpoint map. If OpTic win this one, it screams of a map number 5 to me.
Oh, at the moment, Standy's standing in the way of OpTic. Many players challenging him. Eventually, they'll get that clock stopped. They'll get the points onto it as well. Attack's going to be here. And again, they're off of it. Burning a little bit of time. He'll clear it down. It's looking like a much better defense here coming in from Minnesota, but Havok goes a little bit crazy. Jumps out eventually. Priestahh will pick up his trade. OpTic are looking to make some pressure over towards B.
Again, it's that fluid kind of play that they do when it does come down to control. It's not about setups and being strict in what they do. It's very much about filling the boots of whoever has just died, making sure those rotation things sort of come through there, filling those spaces when Minnesota cannot answer. But they have run out of time here just a little bit. Down on lives, and this would be a good round for Minnesota to win here, because if they then go on and win their attack, they're in a good spot for a round 5. There's a lot of if, buts, and maybes, but OpTic need to make sure they lock in A here to give themselves a chance to close this out quickly.
Oh, nobody near. They're going to have to just push this one. I don't think they can get to B in time, and Minnesota trying to stay alive, but eventually they do go down, and OpTic will get back onto this point. And one thing you want to bear in mind here, I know it's a long way off, but we do go all the way to that round 5. Ticks will matter.
It does. Touch takes down Scump at the point. Minnesota might think about this. Havok's on the flank. Prolute's out at the point. If he can kill Shotzzy as well, that would have been huge. But they have to make sure that they do not overcommit. 1.5 seconds and 6 lives remaining. Still a mountain to climb here for OpTic. But 1-4 dead. Everything changes.
Here we go. OpTic, can they play this basically flawlessly on this retake? Minnesota have players in P5. Shotzzy already gets one. Stays alive. Prolute gets a second one. OpTic swarming now towards the point. There's a stack coming through as well. Minnesota have to react for this one. They are here in force. First tick done. Everybody from OpTic is here. Priestahh gets 2 though. Shotzzy gets another one. There's a dive in for attach in the end. And there's going to be Scump towards the back alley. Still alive here. It's a 3 versus 6. Scump back on the point. The king needs to go huge. He looks for it. Eventually, somehow he's still alive. Pre-fire from both sides, but Havok does manage to get it. And with that, I think it's possibly dead. This 2 versus 4, is it a fairy tale?
Surely it's not possible, right? You would think not, but, well, you might as well have a go. Prolute will find the kill on the Havok. Prolute will find the kill on the Standy. Brycey.
2 versus 2.
2 versus 2.
It's an S&D round for a point. It's an S&D. Oh! Dashy finds it as well. Oh my goodness, Tatch has to pull off a clutch now. They had the numbers, but they didn't have the backbone. Somehow OpTic have got through this, and he has to challenge, and he finds Dashy, but Dashy guns him. And Texas win the control. They will not be taking it any further. That is a 3-0, and that is redemption for OpTic. Oh my goodness. How have they clutched that? I do not understand.
I'm trying to figure out where Minnesota went wrong here. OpTic did all the hard work, but I think the overcommitment over towards Hick, like, I understand with the ticks, but just let them have it. You're up so far on lives. Just set yourselves up in awkward little positions over towards B, but they decide to send themselves over, lose a couple of gunfights. All of a sudden, you have nobody in mid-map. Texas could get a little bit of control, and that's what gives them hope. But Prolute opening it up with 2 kills, and Dashy finishes the other 2 himself. So well played. The grenade is what gets it done. Prolute didn't have a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but that seals the round and seals the map for his team. And looking at these next 2 maps, a reverse sweep is absolutely not out of the question.
I just cannot believe what we saw. That was a 11 versus 6. It came down to a 2 versus 4. And OpTic Texas says, all right, watch this highlight reel we're about to have. The double nade kicked it off. They worked together as a duo to get that first kill. Prolute then made the kill. Dashy dove through, got another one. They stacked up and attached, looking lost, did not have a good control. And a redemption could have been his, but it wasn't to be. Dashy gunned him before he could do anything. Maybe one of the greatest control clutches I've ever seen.
Phenomenal. And I think, you know, let's just try and touch on it while the highlights are coming through here to highlight the moments where I think it went wrong. So it takes a long time for Texas to get a hold of it. It's 13-7. And then it's just a bit of an overcommitment. Prolute flies around, finds that one, and then the next two, I mean, I can't remember what happened, to be honest with you. I think it was just a blur. 3-0 for OpTic. Is that the route back into this game? There's a reverse sweep that happened yesterday that involved OpTic, and it started with a 3-0 on Tuscan Control. It was them who were on the wrong side of it.
Minnesota didn't get a trade. Did not get a trade. Trade. 4 players, and they couldn't trade.
It was a complete 4-man wipe. Complete 4-man wipe by 2 of them.
Well, I said this before, and I still am going to stick to it. I believe OpTic, and it's just been a thing, right? I've been around Call of Duty for a very long time. I'm old, but OpTic have always been a momentum team. They've always felt better after getting a win under their belt. And this might be the catalyst. This might be the little ray of hope that people have been asking for as we move on to map 4-ton.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the stats that are coming on through here. The Røkkr are on a 7-game Berlin hardpoint losing streak. But wouldn't it just be typical OpTic to lose that?
I don't want to believe anymore. All right, we are seeing ridiculous things from the CDL every day.
We are. It's every single day. It's just absolutely crazy with these points on the line, with champs on the line for a lot of these teams. Players are stepping up. They really are. But looking at these next 2 maps, I really don't like them for the Røkkr. I really don't like them at all. And they're the team that need the wins, Pricey. They really are the team that need the wins.
They really do need the win, and you're going to hear us talk about this a lot, this split, because it is very important. The points all these teams are on, as you can see, what we're basically calling the bubble. It goes from Ravens down to the Subliners. Ravens with a huge win earlier, by the way. That brings them just a little bit higher up, but so many of these teams fighting to get out of this position. Røkkr are in 9th. Currently, if we ended everything today, they are not going to champs, and they have to fight their way back here. A reverse sweep against OpTic, a team they look like they could beat, would be devastating for them, especially with Subliners continuously getting points. Some Guerrillas lose today as well. Boston got points against OpTic. It's difficult. This is not a fun time for the teams in that bubble, and that's why we have to keep highlighting it. Every 10 points you can grab is oh so crucial.
I think Boston getting that win yesterday was so big for them, wasn't it? There's that little buffer there now, and it would really take like some really good events from the side of I mean, you're talking LAG, Thieves, maybe a little bit of resurgence from them, now Røkkr as well. It would take quite something for them to have that big moment, all of them, to then push Boston down, because that extra win that we really didn't expect to come from them could make the difference. Even honestly for Boston, a couple of wins here and there could solidify them for champs at this stage, because of how mixy it can get below them as well. Not all of these teams can get maximum points. It just doesn't work that way. Yes, there's a lot of points still on offer, but they all can't get them. It's going to be wild. Honestly, it's just given such an extra factor to these final couple of stages, hasn't it? Of course, we have our majors. We're very concentrated on who's going to win them, etc., etc. But there's this other story of these champs teams. Who is going to make it? Who is not? I mean, Paris are pretty much solidified now, as far as I'm aware. I think it would take something flawless from them all the way through. But I see a clip on Reddit. Temp is gunning for a couple of people's futures, to be honest with you. He's just like, I just want to play a spoiler. And that's what we'd love to see. We want to see Paris really try in their games and just be a nuisance to some of these squads, try and find an easy dub. I don't think they're going to get it by the sounds of things, what's been happening in scrims. But nonetheless, Bryce, this whole final stage to get to the point of who goes to champs, it's going to be very intriguing. I feel like I've aged in the past 48 hours already trying to figure it all out, to be honest with you. Gray hairs are coming, and you say you're old, I'm right alongside you, mate, don't worry.
It certainly is. And if you kind of want to go to champs, obviously you can get yourself tickets. They are currently on sale, and we will see you at the Garland Center on August 4th and 7th, and obviously all the days in between. We will be there in beautiful sunny LA, Tom.
Sunny LA. You know what? I think for me, like, I'm just looking forward to seeing you suffer in it.
Well, that's a lovely thing, but let's move on to our next map here. Of course, we are going to go OpTic versus Røkkr. And Dashy has a 1.4 KD this series. OpTic are shooting, but can they continue to do so? Is a reverse sweep written in the stars yet? We will find out. Røkkr, they've got Havok on their side, but really the slaying has not been. And they have not got a good record on this map. We will keep saying it because is this going to be 8 losses in a row? Or do they break it here and now on the hearts of OpTic fans?
Apologies to a couple of fans who've been tweeting at me, telling me it was a 2v6. Whatever happened, it was impressive. Anyway, here we go. Røkkr, 7-game losing streak, as I've already alluded to on Berlin Hardpoint. You need to turn that round, but the reverse sweep is on the cards. OpTic come out swinging in map number 3. I think we're seeing 5.
I'll have to find out at the moment. P1 will be in control of Minnesota. Looking to try and break this one. And the player has slipped through. Who's that? Of course it's Shotzzy. Of course it is. Who else would it be as Shotzzy manages to break into this point, stays alive, trying to get something done, but Havok eventually finds him. And still, the point's heading over to Minnesota. It will be OpTic, though, who look for the rotation, and potentially just to get a little bit of scrap time here, maybe.
A little bit of scrap time wouldn't be bad, considering Røkkr did start on the more beneficiary side. Shotzzy can't find that final kill. It wouldn't have been the final kill, sorry. There's a couple of other Minnesota members there, but that's 42 points all the way over towards Røkkr. OpTic yet to answer. But that is typical. Honestly, I think a lot of teams, you don't want to panic. Oh, well, Shotzzy may be panicking about that gunfight, but you can't panic too much if you didn't have those spawns. You lose initial control. It's always very easy, but you might start panicking if Røkkr can find a way into P2. OpTic trying to lock this one down. Don't really have great control here, Priestahh. Priestahh in a decent little spot as all the rest of his team to try and break through.
You can see at the moment it is going to be OpTic. Prolute manages to find 3. Unfortunately, one is going to be his teammate. So trying to stay alive. A little bit of lion's share of time going over to Minnesota. The difference is going to be here. Scrap time versus rotation. Dashy finds an unbelievable kill, by the way. And Attach is also going to come under trouble. Shotzzy jumps back in, says, no scrap time for you. We're going to have both scrap and rotation.
Oh, look at this, though. Dashy all the way over towards the back. Finds the kill, and there you go. Minnesota get the scrap. OpTic get the rotation. Fire is going to be crucial here. Shotzzy and Cole will be dipping and diving through all the many doors and corridors that we have on this area of the map, and Prolute needs to try and win this gunfight. Standy's found a way through, so has Havok. How on earth is Standy ran up the street? How is everybody on OpTic dead? What am I seeing?
They flipped them out. That was an unbelievable break. OpTic needed to hold it. And now they have to jump into the teeth. Minnesota are set up. Attach finds the first one on the Dashy. A push coming through fire now for OpTic. Priestahh, can he play? Spoiler! He's looking for the players. He finds Scump. He knows exactly where Shotzzy's going to be. He's going to try and call it out, but Dashy gets a kill as well. And Shotzzy gets another one. Unbelievable play from these two.
I mean, they broke it back for a final 15 seconds or so, which you'll take. Fantastic break back from OpTic, but you have to say that setup that they had mustn't have been good enough because Minnesota just sliced through it initially. That could have been a very, very different scoreline heading over towards P4. Had OpTic managed to lock that one down. Very much going to be the tight game as it goes. We're about 20 behind. OpTic, though, over towards this P4 do have plenty of control. Can they lock this one down? Is Minnesota trying to force through the front door? Havok will find the first. Dashy will trade it away. OpTic still in control.
Well, OpTic going to try and get as much time here as possible, but they've got to just resist a bit of pressure. That's why they're not committing anyone to this point quite yet. Eventually starting to soak up a little bit of time, but Prolute does go down, and that's always a danger here on the train. Can be taken down if you are going to take that back spot. Oh, Havok just gets caught over and over again. Explosions ricocheting around Ticket.
So OpTic finding a route back into this here, over towards the trains. Something for me that I kind of want to point out is the final few seconds of this hard point will fall out in front of us. OpTic are the best team on the game at locking down points on that P1. Of course, we've seen Minnesota have a lot of luck over towards it as the game does tie up. Keep an eye on this rotation. Keep an eye on them trying to flip things here over towards P5 to put themselves in a better point. to score plenty of points over towards P1. He's going to have a hard job doing that, though, when you're all dead. Minnesota continue to lock this one down. OpTic going to have to try and find another way through.
That's not actually able to stop Shotzzy there. He gets the kill and gets away, and now as he commits, he's going to try and take control of clutch stairs. It's a little bit of positioning play coming on from both teams. Obviously, if you're going to be Minnesota, you do not want to see the spawns here to OpTic. Scump doing everything he can around fire. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough.
Trying to find this wrap. Shotzzy at the spearhead of this attack now. So we can already see Røkkr sitting tight over towards P1. Shotzzy will find a touch in the mid-map, though, and is the collapse maybe going to start coming in here as OpTic looking to try and find a route through. Shotzzy. Wouldn't surprise me if he's going to try the jump to try and get inside the point. Scump will find one onto Priestahh, Standy inside the point, trying to watch him train. It's just going to be about Shotzzy potentially coming in on the flank. Finds a way in. Points on the board. OpTic inside P1, but Minnesota not too bad of a spot to try and retake this. I say that. 5 seconds remaining. They're already thinking about the rotation over towards P2.
They are here, but Attach wants to break this, or at least try and contest it for a few seconds. Giving away full 30 seconds is not always ideal. And you can see Minnesota are going to try and make into this one. And OpTic and Prolute is going to go down, but Shotzzy and Standy and going to try and get these kills just ricocheting through eventually. Scump trying to play spoiler, not going to be enough as he sits clutch stairs, and Attach will take him down, but it will mean that OpTic have had free reign to go and get this rotation.
Yeah, that's a small win, I would say, for the side of OpTic. Minnesota were the first ones there. You pretty much split the points. And what was a very, very tight game, but you head over towards P2. Let's see if they can find some good time themselves here. Prolute. Good play from him when he's sitting at 7-11, but honestly, so many of the kills that I see him find are always so important. None more than those, what I want to say, 3 or 4 that he found towards the end of that control. Scump now, our Mountain Dew featured player. What can he get going here? Not too much. Havok will find him. Minnesota trying to find a break on through. Havok's the bait through the front door. Prolute will find him. OpTic nearly finding a way back. Into the lead here now, as Prolute still inside the point, still surviving, Bryce.
Dancing, diving, ducking, eventually taken down by Attach. It's Attach versus Scump. And Dashy will actually just intervene and take him down as well. But here comes the question. What can Shotzzy do? The X factor for OpTic has found himself in street towards spawns. And of course he slips the net. Of course he finds it, and eventually Attach picks him up. I imagine they were looking for him. It's something every team in the CDL has to do.
Where is Shotzzy? That's the words that'll be coming out of the lips of Minnesota Røkkr in that kind of situation, but it is going to be OpTic now in a lead. Shotzzy through the front door, has Scump just behind him as well. Can't quite land the shots, but Dashy pushing down the street side. Prolute is there to help things out as well. As just a little bit of control needed from OpTic as Røkkr lock in some good time here. 40 seconds remaining. Over towards the fire hill. This is good time, but OpTic around the outside of street.
Havok though, gonna be in a position, tries to find them, eventually gets a few bullets down onto many players, making them weak. Allows his teammates to kind of get back into it, but they are going to lose the spawns here. It doesn't really matter if they flip them out. Just hold it for as long as you can. Probably with a great challenge there, just comes through and wipes them off the map. Scrap time for OpTic will put them back in the lead. Will the rotation matter?
Such a back and forth game between these two in map number 4 here. Minnesota definitely giving a better showing than the stats give them credit for. Priestahh will get rid of Shotzzy, so that flank is nullified, if only momentarily, and continues to be as Priestahh will find another onto Prolute. Dashy and Co trying to find a push down this side, but as this all goes on, Minnesota are soaking up some very, very nice time. And Priestahh's doing a very, very nice job of locking down this side of the map for them, as the rest of Minnesota just going to continue to lock it themselves. It's only Dashy who can find a way through and find 2. That is massive from him. Can he stay alive?
Unfortunately not, but it has opened the door. You can already see OpTic pouring out towards back train. They want to try and get control of this as well and come flying through eventually, but will be taken down. Prolute, though, trying to play a bit of spoiler. You can see him holding the position, allowing his teammates a little bit of an easier run through this to try and contest as much as possible. At the moment, it will be Minnesota in the lead, but bear in mind P5 is next, and then we go all the way to P1. Anything could change.
Curious if Havok is going to maybe try an extension over towards fire here, but just trying to lock down top 3. Good power position, 23 and 17 from him. Having a great game on the AR. Can Prolute and Co find a way through? Of Of course they can. Fire is in their hands. They find 3 kills as well. And that's going to be a little bit of time over towards P5. They've got the spawns they want for 45 seconds or so time. But can they find some good time here over towards P5?
Well, basically, OpTic need to continue to hold this. They can soak time here, and they're doing a very good job of it. This is basically the perfect scenario for them. Hold P5, hold P1. Take the time, bring it back for them, and they are doing it. They are winning the gunfights over and over again. Shotzzy eventually will be taken down. That's a 2-piece from Attach, and the flip comes in from Fire at the same time. Dashy needs to find some sort of hero play, but fortunately, OpTic are going to come up towards P1. They have control again of Fire. Havok tries to make a ridiculous play. A benefit to OpTic, they have the spawns.
Statistically, the best team in the game over towards P1 need to be the best game in the team over towards best team in the game over towards P1. Can they lock this down? Havok through the front door though is going to find one. Dashy and Co is still inside the point. Havok needs a little bit of backup from the rest of his team. That should give them a little bit of time to make their move up the map. Dashy not in the spot on top of the bookcases. Attach will now just try to cut the head of the snake off. Prolute will be dealt with here. Minnesota in a good spot to try and break this one back. Dashy is still alive inside of the point. He will be dealt with. And Minnesota find a way through. OpTic get broken far too easily there, Bryce.
They do, and this is going to be crucial. Shotzzy going to hit the flank, finds Priestahh. They need him. He's looking for the second one as well as Prolute combines. They have found their way through. Standy's going to try and do something here, slow them down. Scump's looking for him and does get taken. We are going to P2. It's Shotzzy time.
Things will get very, very messy here. Priestahh will try and lock down the stairs. Minnesota have the luxury of that lead. They can rotate early. They can get themselves set up. But it's a very, very tight-knit setup inside the point. Prolute will find the first one and will the final few players on the Minnesota Røkkr follow. Attach will find one. Havok will find another. They are so close, Brycey.
Now they're getting into it as well. Kills going back and
3
forth.
seconds.
Just holding off for them at the same time, and they're going to try and clear it here as Prolute tries to get through. He has to slide in. Priest is going to be here as well. It's just a 1-second game here, but if OpTic hold, they can win it. Scump is here. Teammates are here. OpTic are here. Minnesota just need one good trade, and they'll win this one. And it looks like it might be Shotzzy trying to stay alive. He goes down.
Oh my God.
Røkkr break a 7-game losing streak on Berlin hardpoint to crash OpTic out of this series. 3-1 for them. The 10 points gets ticked up. And oh my goodness, what is going on in the CDL in stage 4 as we head to the major?
At this point, I'm going to stop looking at statistics because I think you just go into a game and whichever team is shooting, whichever way you're feeling it, that's the way it's going to go. Minnesota Røkkr find themselves a 2-0 lead. OpTic seemingly back into the game on one of their better maps. Røkkr haven't won it since Christmas. And it's a gift, as Røkkr will find it. It's only a 14-point game. Every single one of these maps outside of the one, the OpTic one was close. But Røkkr have had the ice today. I just can't wrap my head around how 3 of these games are so close, and OpTic haven't won a single one of the close games.
They are close. That's the kind of the crazy
Super
thing
close
about this. We're talking about OpTic losing, the 2 games, but they just all these maps have been so unbelievable. And I thought there were so many times I thought OpTic had the advantage. They got broken. You are right, a little bit too easy on some of these hills.
That final P1 rotation for me, they need to do better there.
Yeah, P3, P1, just never really looked like OpTic's kind of time, but I suppose the silver lining is there is still an awful lot to play. Winner's bracket is not a million miles outside of possibility. But yeah, I know OpTic probably not going to be happy, but Minnesota Røkkr, it is the start of their campaign. Flawless last time in the qualifiers. They do it again. They'll look fantastic. So much time to kind of contemplate here.
There's a lot
on both of these teams.
As said, the win is a lot more important to the side of Minnesota. OpTic really do need to figure out what is going on out very, very quickly. And whether that comes via a loss, maybe they'll look at something here and say, right, okay, maybe something will click. The thing is for them, though, look at those scorelines. Minnesota are a good team, and they are not far away from them here. What is that? 13-point difference on map number 1, a 1-round difference on map number 2, smoked them on Tuscan. And it's a 14-point gain on Berlin Hardpoint map number 4. I'd imagine Tuscan Search and Destroy would have went a similar kind of way. But especially when you look at the statistics for Minnesota, in that they haven't won Berlin since I was in my 20s, which admittedly was only my 30th birthday last month. But it was still a long time ago, Brycey.
It was a long time ago, but I tell you something, it's been a wild ride for this series and for most of today. But we're going to let the desk break it down because I'm sure they've got a lot to say about what we just saw.
10, you old boy. What's up? Hey. Shout out to the Minnesota Røkkr for winning that series against OpTic Texas. And hey, Minnesota looking really good. I will say this though, when it comes to hard points, it's really interesting and fun to watch because of the simple fact that Røkkr always seems to have those very tight, contested games that go down the wire, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great hardpoint. I mean, watching OpTic in this series, and especially in that Berlin hardpoint, they're trying to play the right way. They're making the textbook play. They're rotating. Something just feels different without Illy on this team. They're getting 2Ps like we saw on that rotation to P4. Priestahh, they're looking for him in the back. He just ends up getting 3 kills. They're getting reflanked by Havok on P3. These are things that OpTic was picking up on prior in their last iteration of their roster, but it's not happening now. You could tell it seems like an overcorrection when they're going over what's going wrong in scrims, and now on the map, it's just not translating to wins, man. Minnesota just outplaying them.
Yeah, and like we said before, I mean, we talked about the sub situation. Shout out to Prolute. He's had great moments, phenomenal moments. Yeah. And shout out to that 2v, what was it, Clutch with Bruce?
That was
insane in control. Yeah, Ali, throughout the entirety of this match, what was your favorite moment that you want to break down?
Honestly, it has to be the amount of times Havok just hits a route and respawn. It's just the amount of times, like, even though they have hill control, OpTic is in a situation to hit the front and the kills start going their way. But the second you look at the mini-map, it's Havok literally making the perfect route to reflank from behind them and shoot players in the back. I'd say, like, oh, this is where OpTic gains some momentum. Dashy just got a 2-piece. They should get control. No. Who is it? It's going to be Havok that's hitting the reflank. Like, we saw it there in P3 in office. Like, he hits that reflank. He spawns OpTic in the back. Sure, there was like 15 seconds left, but they were able to give that up, give them that time, make their way over to trains, and just have a beautiful hold. Even though OpTic tried to hit through train side, it was, I believe, attached that was just sitting in train room, just getting piece by piece by piece, just ruining every plan that OpTic tried to put into motion.
And one of the plans that he ruined and helped his teammate Havok out with is going to be the Scump play of the game, where he offered up his body as resistance, and the Ninja Defuse went down.
It was a great round. I mean, you see they end up getting the defuse here. Priestahh goes, I need to hop on the bomb. You see Attach looking over him right prior to this. Havok ends up getting a kill and then gets traded out, but he hops it. Attach is challenging Dashy up top. He makes him a little weak, so he knows he's going to back down, and then he's just trying to anticipate the next player. Finds Scump and ends up losing that gunfight, but it's enough time for Priestahh to get that defuse. I mean, that's just a confident play out of the Minnesota boys, man, and what was a wild search and destroy, especially that round 11. Can't believe what happened there.
Right, exactly. What a play by Attach, by the way. Just offering himself to add in that aggro, right, and be able to be the focus of attention right there. But also, let's take a look at points to see how the Minnesota Røkkr are faring so far throughout this year with champs on the mind.
Listen, I know all these teams coming into this stage, when they're looking at the schedules of the other teams on the bubble, they were like, okay, they're about to play OpTic Texas. They're probably going to lose that.
Yeah.
Well, these teams have been beating them. You got Boston who beat OpTic Texas. Now you have the Minnesota Røkkr who beat them as well. And this bubble is so ridiculous with LAG now taking a couple of losses, still at 125. They're looking to get bumped out. But yeah, that's a big win for the Minnesota Røkkr. We know how good they can be online. They need some more.
This is actually getting kind of scary from OpTic Texas as well, because the 2 seed is really good. That's what you want. And yeah, they started getting knocked down a little bit. I mean, they could face the higher seeds maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could get overtaken, right? If this is the trend that OpTic is going to continue on, I mean, and obviously, like, these aren't the toughest matches, right? If they don't figure it out soon, I could see Seattle definitely taking over that #2 spot with how they looked at the major.
Yeah.
For sure possible.
And LA is out of the top 8 right now. Let's take a look at Minnesota right now. This has been insane, but so far, Ali, Minnesota, we saw what happened at Major 3. They got 2 big losses at.
Yeah.
I personally feel like, you know, they could have done better, but they lost to Toronto. This stage, they have to go all out.
I feel like there were a lot closer matches than maybe we expected. You know, they went 5 on stage, and we were like, you know what, Minnesota Røkkr are absolutely disgusting. Now we need to see them do it on LAN. They did have 2 unfortunate losses, but they were really close. Like the Bocage hardpoint against Toronto ended on time. Like it was 6-5 search and destroy. So like we still saw what they were capable of. Havok was still frying. And so heading into the stage 4, it's just about the consistency for them now. It's just about translating the stage into the major. And I think this is a huge confidence boost heading into it.
Yeah, I think it's about translating it to LAN, right? Like, like Bryce was talking about, it's hard to benchmark this team because we saw what they did in the last stage. They were dominant. They were 10-2 in Respawn. They were 5-1 in S&D. And then these guys, they went to the major and they lost to 2 teams that they beat during the regular season play, right? And they got 3-0'd by the Toronto Ultra. Not only that, they played LA Thieves and they lost their 2 best search and destroys. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to sing their praises just yet. I gotta see it on LAN.
No,
at the same time, they need those points.
No, sing their praises. They were filthy online throughout the qualifiers, but they went to LAN and they went, what, 1-2. Exactly. The thing is, at the end of the day, Minnesota Røkkr knows we like them, but expectations are definitely there for a reason, right? If these are the teams that you beat online, you need to beat them on LAN as well. But also, let's take a look at the Minnesota Røkkr schedule looking forward, where they have the Florida Mutineers next, and that game could be a good bounce-back game for them, Allie.
I could say bounce back, but I think this OpTic Texas was probably the biggest win under their belt.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, coming back after the disappointing major to have OpTic Texas right out the bat, that's a huge W for them. But I'm looking at that Florida game, Allie, because you know who they're going up against. They're going up against that major guy, so that should be interesting. And Florida desperately needs points. And then also that is a major match on the bubble. Both these teams basically equal in points. Whoever wins that one game can decide whether you make it to champs or not.
Right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, pull out your pennies right now because when it comes to challengers, trust me, you want to go to Boston. And Allie, there's yet another Passion Pit event, and I can't wait.
There's another Passion Pit, and man, am I bummed that I'm not going to be able to participate in it. But I know it's going to be dope. The venue itself looks incredible. And we've seen what these challengers players have done, not only at the opens at the other majors, but in the CDL scene as well, in the pro scene. The amount of players that have been brought up has been the most this year than they have in the past. So go and make a name for yourself.
Yo, Allie went off right there. Let's actually jump into the Game Field Victory Spotlight as well with Havok, the difference maker for the Minnesota Røkkr. Havok, I'm going to be straight up with you for this first question. Hey, what's up, man? My question to you is, I don't talk to you behind the scenes and whatnot as well. What happened at the last major, and how do you guys really look forward to just be better on LAN and throughout the rest of the stage to finish out strong?
Yeah, the last major, stage 3, it was super disappointing. We really let the 100 Thieves series slip, and then couldn't close out. I just blanked. I don't even know who we played second. Oh, we played Boston, and then
Toronto. That's how you know he's in the mix.
Focus on the future.
Yeah, we had a really close series versus Toronto. It was definitely winnable, but we didn't capitalize on a lot of like good positions, and we really threw a lot of our good positions. So going into that, we just want to like calm the nerves. Or going into the next major, obviously we want to get there, get winners bracket, so we can get a good run going again, and then calm the nerves and really just play our game.
Killing in New York.
My personal question for you is when I see Respawn, I just talked about it, like it's probably one of my favorite things to watch when you guys are in the mix, is that whenever the team seems like they're about to get footing, you're the player that's behind them. You're the player that kind of plays spoiler. I want to know, is that just a decision that you consciously make to your team and always be like, you know what guys, like I'm hitting this route, and you know if I get good timing, I'm going to be behind them and like ruin their whole thing? Or is that somebody else kind of saying, somebody hit the flank, somebody get behind them, and you just happen to be the player in that situation?
Yeah, so me and Standy, we actually have kind of the same role in that regard. A lot of times it just feels natural, like you're that guy off spawn, you're on your way to do a route, and you kind of judge how the kill feed goes down, and then you base your route off of that, or at least I do. So a lot of times, if I'm doing it correctly, it leaves me in a really good position to kind of mess up their setup, or get behind enemy lines, or just be in a good spot.
Cole, congratulations on the win. You guys look great out there. And for you, it just seems like you're willing to take any risk on the map. You know what the reward can be. And in round 11, you took a crazy risk. Was that your call? Who called that? Because you looked like you were rogue on the map there. But you get the first blood, and it results in a win. So, you know, those type of plays are wild. And I want to know what's going through your mind. Who's calling in that situation?
So right there, this is a play that I brought over actually from Texas Nation, but at the time, Eli or Standy, he called the play, and I was like, okay, if I have dead silence, then I'll do it because of the new perk system. I had dead silence, I was like, all right, I'll do it. And then I got into tools, the little room, and I got aim assist through the wall, and I started tweaking, and I started shooting, so that's why you saw me shot.
Yeah.
But eventually I knew they were back plat, so I just slid out. I knew Eli was behind me, and I would trust him to get any trade.
So it all went according to plan. Love to see it.
Yo, imagine if you got that 2K though. You would have been that guy, Havok, man.
So I think I would have gotten the 2 kills if I didn't like mess up my. If I didn't start shooting, I think I would have got both the kills because I've been in that position before.
All right. Well, the way science works, if you didn't die, you would have got the kill. So yeah, that would have been a thing. No, but have a good job on the win, man. And I think you guys play tomorrow. We'll catch you tomorrow, okay?
Yes, sir. See you tomorrow.
All right, take it easy, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, OpTic called the landscapers, the construction crew, whatever it is, because that green wall is looking kind of sus right now. But hey, Minnesota Røkkr with the big win, and we have yet one more game to close out the day. I can't wait. You got that right. It's LA Thieves versus Boston. This is going to be a good one. But the question is, which version of LA are we going to get? It's been an up and down year so far. In Boston, are we going to get that fast and furious sub duo? I really hope so. We'll catch you guys on the other side for conclusion of the day. See you soon.